Hello, this is Mr. Rasmussen with Algebra 1, Lesson 86. All right, this one is titled Division of Polynomials. I don't know if you've done this before, but it is a problem that involves 3 steps, and when you just get them and you keep doing them over, it seems like students have a little bit of trouble at first, but once they get it, then they've got it and it's good. Let's look at the example point 2 first. In this case here, we've got 3 terms divided by only 1 term here. And in that case, division is the same thing as writing it as a fraction like this. And so, then you just reduce the fraction. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and you have exponent of 12 on the top and exponent of 4 here. So if you move this up, it becomes a negative 4, basically 3 to the 8th on top, because these 4 cancel with 4 of those. Then 8 divided by 4 is 2. It's a negative 2 there. We got 4 x's on the bottom, 8 on the top, so 4 x's are left on the top. And this last one, 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 x's on the bottom, 6 on the top. We got x squared. That one's pretty simple. You already know how to do that, but it is division by 1 term. The question is, and today's lesson is all about, what if you have division by 2 terms? We've got a negative 3 and a plus x. We can't just do it the same way. That does not work out. So we actually set it up just like a division problem that you've been doing for years and years in elementary school. We're going to use this here as the first part because that's what's been divided, and we're going to put the x first. We're going to write it as x minus 3 and put our little sign there for division. And then we're going to write this out in descending order. My highest power is actually my x to the 3rd here, so I'm going to write that one first. X to the 3rd. My next one is minus 2x plus 5x plus 50. Okay, put that in descending order. I'm now set up to do my division problem. And our first thing here, I wrote the steps on the bottom here. My first step is to take out the x and write what's left. So I'm going to look at this first term here, 3x to the 3rd. I'm going to take out 1x and write what's left. So that's going to be 3x squared. I took out 1x. Step number 2 is to multiply this by these 2 terms over here. So when I multiply this back in, I get 3x to the 3rd. That's by design, right? And then I get this term times the negative 3 gives me negative 9x squared. My third step is to flip the signs inside of this second line here and then add them. So this one's become a negative, this one becomes a positive, and I'm going to add. Now, by design, these first 2, 3 plus negative 3 gives me 0. Those cancel. That's what we want to happen. Then I look at my second 2, I got a negative 2 plus 9. That's going to give me a 7x squared. All right, then I repeat. I go back to step number 1. I take out an x. I write what's left. What's left is plus 7x. I'm going to multiply that by these 2 terms. 7x times x, 7x squared. 7 times a negative 3 is a negative 21x. All right, I'm going to flip my signs. This one becomes negative, this one becomes positive. By design, these first 2 cancel out, and then I actually go all the way to the top here for my next one. You can bring it down and rewrite if you'd like. 5 plus 21 gives me 26x. And I've done my 3 steps again, and guess what? I start over and repeat my 3 steps. I'm going to take out an x, which simply leaves me 26. I'm going to multiply it by my 2 terms over here. 26x negative 3 times 26. I'm going to look in my book for some for some help with that one. There we go. Negative 20. I'm checking here in the book. I get 26 up top. 26. Oh, there we go. All right, found it. It is negative 78. I'd have been faster. I just used my calculator. All right. Then, once again, I flip my signs. This one's going to cancel. Then I get 50 plus 78, which is 128. Now, once I get to this point, I don't have any x's left. So I can't take an x out. So I actually write it as a remainder, just like we would in elementary class when you get to the end of the problem and you don't have a large enough number to divide into anymore. So it's positive, so I'm going to put a positive there. And I'm going to write what I have left on the top. Excuse me. And then on the bottom, I'm going to write what I'm dividing it by, x minus 3. And so right now it looks like a fraction, just like we had up here in the first 0.2 example, 28 divided by x minus 3. This here is my answer. Okay, I want to jump to, you go and look at example 0.4 and 0.5, and they lay out the same steps. Just walk through those and see how they do that. I did want to come to example 0.6 though, because as you look at that one looks a bit different. And when we set it up, we have to do something specific for it to work out. So once again, I'm going to take my x minus 3. I'm going to write that at the beginning, x minus 3. And then if you notice here, we only have two terms there. For it to work out, I got to put in what's called placeholders. So I'm going to start with my highest term, x to the third, and I'm going to do a plus, I'm going to do a placeholder of x to the second, but I'm going to put a 0 here because I don't have any of those. Okay, but I need it to hold its place. Then plus 0x, and then minus 4. So I follow my descending order of 3, then 2, then 1, then none. And then I go through my 3 steps, and I would solve that, and you can see that there in the book. Okay, I'm going to move on to the practice problems. Once again, pause the video, work through those, and then check your work with mine. Practice problem A is 5x to the third minus 9x squared plus x, and we're dividing that by x. So simply each one is divided by x. So when we take an x out, we get 5x squared minus 9x plus, this doesn't go away, x divided by x is 1. And there's my answer for practice A. All right, looks like practice B gets into a little bit more of what we were just working with, and I'll work through it rather quickly here. We've got x minus 2. As I set it up, I got to put this in descending order. So 6x to the third minus 3x squared plus x minus 40 is my setup there. All right, so what do? My first step is to take out an x. I got 6x squared. I'm going to multiply it back in. By design, it's going to be the same thing, and then negative 2 times 6 is negative 12x squared. I'm going to flip my signs, and so then I get 9x squared here. Take an x out, so plus 9x, multiply it by the two terms over here, 9x squared. 9x times 9x is 9x squared. 9x times negative 2 is negative 18x. Flip my signs, this cancels. Add these together, get 19x. 19x on top, when I take the x out, multiply it back in, 19x, 2 times 19. Do that on my calculator here. Oh, I got 30. So negative 2, so negative 38. Flip my signs. Looks like I got negative 40 plus 38 gives me a negative 2 at the end here. And so I take my sign and put that as a connector. Draw my line for a fraction. I put my remainder on top and then put what I'm dividing it by on the bottom, and there is my answer for practice problem B. All right, let's move on to practice problem C. Practice problem C is set up a little differently. It is set up as a fraction. However, it means division, so that would be x minus 2. I have to put some placeholders in here, so I have x3 plus 0, x squared plus 0x, and then minus 5. Notice I need those placeholders to get between there in proper descending order. All right, let's work through this one. I'm going to take out an x, get x squared, multiply it back in, and negative 2x squared here. I'm going to flip my signs. That cancels. I get 2x squared. Take out an x, multiply it back in. I'm going to get negative 4x. Flip my signs. That's going to cancel. Add these together. I get 4x. Once again, start over on my 3 steps. Take out an x. I get 4. Multiply it back in. I get 4x minus 8. Flip my signs. That cancels. I get negative 5 plus 8 gives me 3. Connect it with a positive. 3 on the top, x minus 2 on the bottom. And let me check that there. Yes, I have the correct answer. And that's practice problem C. All right, I got one more left here. I'm going to go to a separate paper because it looks like I'm out of space. All right, we got practice D. Once again, set this up. We got x minus 4. Write it out. This one, 3x to the third. I don't have an x squared, so I need a placeholder, plus 0 x squared. Don't put a number 1 here. A number 1 actually means that it is there, and there's nothing there. It's just holding the place. You have to put a 0 to show there's the spot, but you have 0 of them. Common mistake to put a number 1 there. All right, negative 5x, and then plus 4. All right, once again, let me work through this one here. We're going to take out an x, so I get 3x squared left, multiply it back in, and I get this. Flip my signs, first part cancels, add them, I get 12x squared. All right, plus 12x, when I take it out, multiply it by my 2 terms over here. Negative 4 times 12 is negative 48x. Flip my signs to add them, and first one cancels. 48 plus a negative 5 gives me 43x. So plus 33, take the x out, multiply it back in. Using my calculator here. 43 times a negative 4. I get negative 172. Big number there. Okay, negative 172. We'll put that out. I'm going to flip my signs. This first part is going to cancel. And then I got 4 plus my 172, 176. And that's as far as I can go. I got no more x's, so it's positive, so I'm going to connect it with a positive. And then write my fraction with my 176 on top and my x minus 4 on the bottom as a fractional remainder there. And there is my answer for practice problem D. Okay, once again, work through those 3 steps and seek to get those, and then you just keep working through it till you get your answer. Once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and have a great day.